Well, hi everyone. Gosh, happy summer. Can you believe we're back? I'm so grateful to be back and with all of you. Thank you for joining me today on Wednesday, moving into the middle of the week and the middle of the day. I think this is going to be a lot easier for me to manage as far as schedules go. So thank you for being flexible, patient, and all of those things. So if this is your first time joining me, welcome. And if it's not your first time, welcome obviously to you as well. I'm glad to have you back, glad to have everyone here. And I am eager to jump in. So, again, if this is your first time, I'm Betsey Grady. I work with the Akashic Records. I've been doing that like as my sole career for about 10 years now. I think right at 10 years. So I will read the Akashic Prayer today. I'll take a minute to connect. We'll see what message the guides want to bring through, a general message for all of us tuning in, even those if you find it later. And then I have some questions that I've been saving, I think some since April, so that I will go through today. And if you didn't send a question, don't worry, because you're going to get an answer to something that maybe you didn't even know you needed to hear, or you might have silently had the same question and somehow or another your guides got it through. So I love how that works. Okay, if you were having a reading with me, I would tell you to take this time when I read the prayer to close your eyes and let yourself relax and be comfortable, whatever feels right to you. And then I will tell you when we're ready, you can open your eyes and we'll jump in. Okay. Move my little stuff around here. Y'all can see I've got a new background. And I didn't even tell you, we moved on May 2nd, and it has been just, you can imagine, a lot with moving. We downsized. So we've that has been really interesting. And then I did, at the end of May, move out of my Birmingham office because we just could not find anything closer. So a lot has been going on in my world, a lot of beautiful, a lot of heavy lifting, yet all good stuff for all good rewards. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love where we moved to in Georgia. And we're kind of in the foothills of the mountains. In the northwest part of Georgia, like above Atlanta, and I just love it. It's a small little town. For those of you that know Fairhope, it's like Fairhope, but just a little smaller, and not on the water, but in the mountains. So it's really beautiful. And my view, it's all trees. If you could, well, I'm not going to turn the camera around, but it's just really beautiful. So I'm very happy. I've seen hummingbirds come up to the mimosa trees here. I've seen hawks land in the branches here. It's just been really a treat. So, okay, so that's my little news. That's where I've been, and I'm eager to get back into things. So here we go. I'm going to read the prayer. I'm hoping y'all can hear me. Okay. Okay. I ask God if He will have a shield of love and truth around you permanently, so only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the masters, teachers, and loved ones of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I'm able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I'm allowed. Okay. Okay, let me see here what I'm going to start out with today. So hold on here. Well, one of the things they're saying is just to speak on some of the recent things that have been happening here in the U.S. And they want to acknowledge how many people are coming together and showing up for causes. You know, we've not seen, I don't know if y'all watch the news or if you do or don't, yet the protests that all happened over the weekend, we haven't seen protests like that in many, many years, if ever. on U.S. soil. And the guides are saying that what they really appreciate about what's happening, because they're always going to look for the positive in things. And one reason they're saying that is because we're always expanding. We are always moving forward. We are always moving towards something new in expansion, even though it might feel like we're going backwards sometimes. But they're looking at that expansion and the number of people that are starting to pay attention, that are starting to understand what's going on, that are starting to really care. And more things are happening, even tragedies. And this is globally too. It's like things are escalating. And it's almost like when we were watching COVID start to come out and start to spread and start to really affect the world, it just seemed to be escalating. And the guides are saying it is similar in that there's more awareness, more impact, and yet it is like a greater wake up call. Where COVID was a wake up call, it just didn't last long enough. It didn't have the impact. This is another wake up call. What we're seeing with the wars, what we're seeing with the political turmoil, the spiritual wars, you might say. But it is calling just this mass awareness to what's going on. And in that awareness, it's really putting individuals in touch with their moral compass, their hearts, their passions. And so, it's so funny. I have, I don't know if y'all have read Neil Walsh, Conversations with God, that series. Well, a long time ago, he had cards, long time ago. He had little cards, and the card that's on top, I was going to read at the end of the call, but I'll read it now, is passion is the path. It is the way to self-realization. And gosh, that can't be more true. And that's one thing they're saying. They would have you look at what's going on right now as a push to that passion, a push to more self-realization, and then a real push to create a bigger sense of community. The world is really small when you get right down to it, and we are all here, on this planet together, and we are all meant to live in some sense of community and support as we move forward. So while some of this is painful to watch or hear or understand or know what's going on, at the same time, they said, please know it has a purpose and there's a plan in this. Just like fires come to, create a new landscape. They do controlled burns in a lot of forests just for that reason, to get rid of old growth and create the space for new growth. And they said, try to keep the things in that mindset, that new growth. This is all in relationship to that expansion and new growth. And they said, if you, as an individual, maybe home alone, listening to the news or watching what's going on, wondering, what's your role in this? They said it's exactly that card. It's self-realization. Look at how you're feeling. Look at how you're being impacted. Look at what passions are being awakened within you. And maybe you'll find a way to make a difference. And on a side note, I don't know if y'all have seen the Netflix documentary. It's only like 30 minutes, but it's called The Quilters. And somebody had an idea to start a quilting program for prisoners. And now I can't even remember what state it's in. But anyway, these prisoners are making quilts for foster children. And then some of the foster children are autistic. And so they create weighted blankets for them or weighted vests for them. But it is just such a touching documentary, and it's so endearing. And the quilts are just stunning. And they have to work their way to get approved to actually do it. But this community has come together in sending all this fabric to them and, putting in the requests for different children. And it's like that one person had that idea to get that going. And look how many lives it's impacting. And it's almost like the guides are saying, what is your one idea, maybe in your community, that you could get going, that you're inspired to make a difference in? And see if that movie resonates with you. Maybe you start it in your area. It has nothing to do with what's going on globally, but it has everything to do with what's going on, in your community, but in this world, when we're all the same, we're all one of a kind, we're all here together, kind of thing. So maybe check that out and see when inspiration comes up. It's a positive kind of inspiration as opposed to watching the news. Yet it still has the same results. Find your passion. See what lights you up in all of this. See what you really start to care about and where you might want to make a difference. And even if that's including, more people or a different group or a different, religion or race or whatever in your prayers, do it. And just notice that. Notice the changes that are happening for you. Okay. Okay, that's it. We're going to go on to our questions. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know how, this one, that one might be too old. That was about a move. I think that move already happened. Okay. Here's one. It's been 1.5 years since I moved out. We are coexisting peacefully with almost zero contact. It's easy to maintain this, but is it in my highest and best interest to do so? What next steps should I take? Hope that makes sense. Quite frankly, he's the king of inertia. Really takes a lot for him to get anything done, so I expect he will continue to drift. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so they are showing, all right, so the image that they're giving me is like, just adrift is a good word to use. It's like two boats in the water, kind of attached to each other, and only one boat seems to have the rudder, and that would be him. Let's call him the king of inertias in that boat with the rudder. And it looks like he's not paying attention to the rudder. He's like tinkering on the boat, taking care of this or that. Sometimes he looks up, checks the landscape. Sometimes he checks to see if the boat's still attached. But for the most part, he's not interested in really going anywhere. He has no destination. Not even trying to get back to land is what they're saying. And so it's really more of a question, how long do you want to keep drifting in that kind of body of water? So this looks like a lake. For some reason, they're telling me it's a lake. It's not as in the ocean where, the currents are constantly moving and there's a tide push and pull that will take over, when boats are out in the water, so to speak, and they lose their power and they lose their steering. Ooh, that's really interesting. So you're kind of in a boat without power and without steering, and you're attached to another boat who doesn't even realize they have a rudder on the boat. And so they said it's more about, do you want to stay in that lake? Do you want to explore the lake? Do you want to get out and swim? Do you want to cut your line to that boat and paddle to shore? So they said to think about more what that looks like for you, because as soon as that vision shows up in your mind, you'll know what to do. And you may start paddling and just pull him along until he realizes he has a rudder. And then it might wake him up a little bit, but you also may not, because that's a lot to paddle. That's a lot. Like, that's kind of like taking somebody else's luggage with you on a journey. And you're responsible for carrying it around. So they're not having a direct answer, as in you need to do something on this date and when. They want you to look at it with that vision, if that makes sense. And they said from sitting with that, being with that, knowing that, a storm can come and create waves in motion on the lake and stir things up, and certainly can create movement for your vessel. Yet, do you want to wait for a storm? And so, how do you want to be in charge here with? Do you want to get the power back, the steering back? Like I said, come to land, or just explore what more is in the lake. So they said, imagine that your vision and the clarity that you have in that vision of a desire, maybe a passion, is akin to kind of starting to get your own rudder, and they would or starting to paddle in a direction. And they said you're kind of being the queen of inertia, being attached to the king of inertia. And so the only way to break that is to move. Move, they said, move. And I will leave that to your interpretation, what move might mean, but they are saying move. So that's so fascinating. And hopefully that is helpful. Okay. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to hold that. I'm holding some of these, you guys. Okay, here's one. Okay, I've probably read this somewhere, but I'd like to hear from the guides directly. What, if any, restrictions are there and questions we may ask of you? Are there general restrictions as a whole for everyone, or can it vary by person and or need? Thank you, thank you. Okay. The guides said, as a rule, there are no questions off limits. Everything is open, everything is available, everything is accessible. And they love the varied questions. They love all of it, because like I said, if somebody has one question that somebody else never even thought of but needed that answer to, it's like we're all served by the vast curiosities that we bring together. And so absolutely, all questions are accepted. There are some they may not answer at this time. There are some they may say, more will be revealed, or that can be shared at a later time, but that rarely happens. Usually they will indicate if they can't quite answer something like the previous question. We can't tell you to move at this date. We can't tell you to, blah, blah, blah. They will give you guidance how to be with that question, how to, ruminate more on maybe the question, the answer that they give you. Does that make sense? I had someone today that's wanting to move, and she and her partner want to move in together, and they've just not been able to find a house. And it was really interesting because the guides were showing her all the things going on in his life that were on the horizon, and things on her life that are on the horizon. Like, all these things have to still play out that need to be addressed. Like, there really is a plan, things are being just worked out of their periphery, but will support them to get into this place together. So, but they did give her a date finally. But just to know, there's always so much going on. And the guides will reveal as much as they can to satisfy your curiosity or your heart at that time. That's probably the best thing to know, is you can ask whatever you want, and no matter what answer you get, they're going to their aim is to bring a sense of peace, understanding, or direction with that answer. So cool. Okay. Let me see if I can get. Okay. Hang on here. There's some that are really long, so I'm going to kind of pass through those, and I might review those before the next one. So, okay, here's another. Another little short one. I've heard that as we age, it's important for the pituitary gland to remain open in order to function properly. And one way to help with this is to spend some time greeting each daybreak while outside. I'm wondering what the guides say, and are there other actions we could take for optimum pituitary gland function? Okay, what a great question. Okay, here. Okay, so let's see here. Well, the guides are saying, and they have said this before, and it bears repeating, they have always said nature contains every healing element that we need. And so with that, they would say, yes, going outside, greeting that day is extremely helpful. They would also look, speaking of nature, for the purest natural supplements that might even support that gland, or the fruits and vegetables that support the pituitary gland. And they are not giving me those specifically right now. Hang on one second. They are also saying sunlight is very important, even if it is, 5 minutes or 2 minutes. They would have you take a moment and put your face to the sun. Now, some people believe in what's called sun gazing, where you actually open your eyes and look at the sun briefly. They're not telling me to say go ahead with that. You can look it up if it resonates for you, do it. But they're not saying that, but they are saying to be in the sun as you would greet the day, greet the sun, and just feel the warmth on your face. And if you're not in a place to, they said just take advantage of it when you can. 1 second here. They're also telling me that there are yoga postures you can hold that support this pituitary gland. There are mudras you could hold that support the pituitary gland. There's actually quite a lot out there, they said, that would be very supportive. And they would encourage everyone to look into that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay. Okay, here's one. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, June 18th. And I'm just wondering if there's anything my guides and departed loved ones think I should know for this next trip around the sun. I'm gonna have a sip of my afternoon coffee here. Okay. Isn't that funny? We were just talking about the sun, and your question was your next trip around the sun. One thing the guides are going to say in general, it is never too late to look at that next year for you. So even if we are at June 18th and 2025 is, passing on by, we can still look at a year from now for all of us. So they're grateful you asked that question today, even if it was more for your birthday. They would encourage everybody to look and reflect on where they are and where you're being, how you're being, and kind of like the first question, if you're just kind of adrift in a lake, what do you want to do? You want to summon the wind? Do you want to get to shore? Are you okay with drifting for now? And there's no judgment. So with that said, for you that asked the question, since it's your birthday, okay, let's see here. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, they're showing me honey, lots of honey. And then they're taking me to bees and honey. Hang on 1 second here. I don't know if you're thinking about getting beehives, but I would be open to that in the next year as something to bring into your experience and learn. They said they would encourage you to be open to that. You have a sensitivity and a second language to communicate with bees. Here. Also, even looks like creating a pollinator's garden, which you might already have something similar to that, but something specifically for bees. Looks really purposeful. Hang on 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. There's something with the turtle. I don't know what that might mean. When I see turtles, they mean like meditation, go within. Um, the turtle carries its home wherever it goes, but it always has that place to retreat within. So it's almost like that, going home within. So there is something around the turtle. It might mean something different to you, yet it might mean to expand your meditation practice in some way, or guiding meditation in some way. Doesn't have to be anything huge if you're guiding it, I should say. Let me see if there's something in general that you need to know. They said be mindful of water. Be mindful of water. Wow, we're on a water theme today. There might be more, I don't want to say flooding, but be mindful of water. So I don't know if there's any leaks in the house that need to be addressed, or anything that might be in a flood zone that needs to be moved, but it does look like that would be important to take care of. Hang on here. And I'm not hearing there's going to be any harm or damage coming to you. They're giving you plenty of time, mindful to be prepared, if that makes sense. They're also saying there's something with that garden. There's a garden in sharing the fruits of that labor, so to speak. I don't know if you are donating anything to those in need from the garden. I don't know what that's about either, but it feels like there's a community service in there some way. Whether it's inviting people to participate in the garden, or you're donating from it, I'm not sure. Let's see here. They are also showing, they're showing me a faceted amethyst, as in a stone, like something you might see in jewelry. Looks like it's coming your way. It looks really beautiful. If I had to say, it's kind of rectangular in shape. Is it a ring or a necklace pendant? I'm not sure. But it looks faceted. And you might even just look up what amethyst means. It might be an essence of you that's becoming really faceted this year. I know it's not the birthstone of June, but there's something in amethyst that I would say aligns with the essence of your soul. So that's really lovely. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's much love for you and all around you all the time. A real joyful, playful, loving energy around you all the time, that's constantly saying hello. And there will be more of that and more of that. Also, they're showing me things you're getting rid of. This is going to be, there's a lot going on in your birthday year, I'm going to say. They're showing you getting rid of things. There's things to get rid of, let go of. It's like just send them out to the universe. That could be mentally, physically, emotionally. Feels more, well, it's a little bit of everything, but physically, it's like letting things go, letting them have homes in other places, or going to where they need to be transformed. So, wow. Okay, what a birthday message. Okay, one more question here. I just had my hip replaced, as my guide showed you months ago. Now I'm home and severely missing the adventure I was on in California for surgery. I suspect this massive disappointment being home is telling me to look for the adventure in my daily life. Usually I'm really good at that. Just struggling and wonder what, if anything, my guides show you. Okay. Okay. Well, they are taking me to, you're going to really appreciate this. They are taking me to ferns hanging on the porch and appreciating the ferns on the porch, so to speak. And it's really interesting. It's like that busyness of being in California and the adventure there, and just all the stuff with the surgery, and then coming back, and it's like coming off, it's like kind of getting off a roller coaster and that you've been on for kind of a while. It's just been going, going, going. Or just think of a car that's been driving fast, or a train that's been going really fast. And it's like getting off of that. And it's like, so part of your body still feels like it's moving, even though you're not moving. And so there's this need for speed, so sweet, they say. And it really is about coming back to uh, that being grounded, that for you a place of inertia would be good because you've been in that crazy, not crazy, but the busyness of all. And they said what'll happen, it's kind of like you're balancing the scales, and so be in that place of inertia so that it does level back out. And then from there, they said your next adventures will come. But they are telling me to tell you to give yourself 3 to 6 months, really even till the end of the year, to be in this place. You also had some major life changes this year. So even though that hip is supporting you and moving forward in life, and all of that looks wonderful, it doesn't mean you have to rush forward towards anything. And they said, get back to you, get back to the essence of you, and discover how you want to be here now at this time, given the changes that you've been through. Because they're saying a few more changes are on the horizon, just shifts in life. I'm not hearing anything, major, dramatic, anything like that, but a few more shifts to come. And they said just be like, they would almost recommend you get in that boat and let yourself drift for now, and relax, recover, reflect, if that makes sense. So see, sometimes inertia is our friend. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's what's guiding us to take action to move forward, right? Isn't that interesting? They said there's a grand adventure coming next year. And I would say that looks like a big trip. But I'm not sure, but that's what it feels like. So enjoy the ferns hanging for now. Enjoy the view, what you can see from this place of inertia, so to speak. Even though they know you're moving and getting back to things, they said you understand that. So, okay. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay. So I've got the the Neil Walsh cards, Conversations with God. Oh wait, y'all, I've had these for so long. I think I had them when I lived in California. Oops, wait. I used to keep them out on a bowl, or in it. Well, I keep all of my cards, most of them, in a bowl. And my cats like to chew on them. So some of these have puncture marks from a cat I haven't had in probably 20 years. Anyway, so I'm shuffling those, telling you more than you need to know. And I'm going to see what message from here are we going to have today. Interesting. I don't think I even used this word in our talk today. So, but they are leaving us with beingness attracts beingness. So how about that? It's funny, the guide said, think about it. We started the call or the question with the two boats adrift in the water. One's inertia makes the other one inertia. Beingness attracts beingness. And so if we think about our lives like that, and we're not seeing movement where we want to see movement, we obviously have a rope attached to what we want or don't want, whatever that might be. If we want to see something change in our lives, then we have to change how we're being. beingness attracts beingness. Isn't that so lovely? It really reminds us how much power we have. So they said, yeah, life is like being on a big lake. You know, sometimes storms are going to come through and create the currents we need to put us, on a trajectory. And really, though, we have all the power to be here how we want to be here. And if we want something to change, we have to change how we're being. And wow, I really like that. Okay. Well, this was fun to get back to you guys today. Get back here with the guides and share a lovely message. Fun to share my new little space. So I guess I will see you next Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Remember, send your questions to me at Betsey at betseygrady.com. And I'll see you then. I look forward to it. Okay. Bye, you guys.